بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم. اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. As you remember, in the last session we started a very important discussion in moral philosophy, and that was about moral value. ارزش اخلاقی, or in Arabic القيمة الأخلاقية. And we started with a comparison between moral value and value in economics, and then after that we said a very important aspect of value in economics is to be desirable and useful, and also it's a matter of comparison. Then we brought this idea of value into morality, but we said that in morality, exchange value is not that much important, although some people may think, okay, we do something and instead we get reward, but the main thing is that the action or quality itself should have value, and we may do them without expecting return. And then we mentioned few aspects of moral value, and we said if these are there, an action has moral value. Also we made it clear that here we don't mean by value necessarily positive value. We mean anything which is morally significant, positively or negatively. Plus, we also don't use value here in contrast to obligation. Because if you remember previously we had discussed that moral concepts are either evaluative or obligational. Here when we are talking about moral value, we said it's general. Then towards the end of last session we started a discussion about different opinions among moral philosophers about moral value. The first opinion was that value is made and constructed by society. So it's the society that dictates values, and as a member of society you have to follow the value of that society. We had a discussion about this, and we said we don't necessarily agree with values that are in society. We can have reformers in each society who would try to improve the moral ideas or practices of that society, but also at the same time we said we have to somehow and to some extent observe the norms of the society unless there is a conflict with our major values and the issue of flexibility, principled flexibility, all that we discussed. Now we want to carry on with the second opinion. Some people have said moral value depends on utility, on the benefit that an action has either for the agent or for a group. For example, there were people who believed that you do what gives you pleasure it's a kind of hedonism. It said that Epicure had this idea. Epicure, the one action that gives you pleasure, you do it. If it gives you pain, you don't do it. If it gives you little pleasure or more pleasure, you do the one which gives more pleasure. It gives you pleasure for a short period of time, the one gives you for more endurable time, you go for the more endurable. But it's all a matter of weighing how much pleasure you can get or how much pain can be avoided. But there are people who say, no, this should not be for yourself, it should be for all. Inshallah, I will review these things that we discussed before in akhlaq, about egoism, altruism, universalism. Inshallah, I will mention that and you will better understand, because we are in the middle of another discussion and I don't want to expand too much here, but inshallah we will talk about that. But just as a reminder, we said universalists are those who say an action is morally good if it leads to good outcomes for everybody, not only you. They are not egoist. And not only others, they are not altruists. They say everyone. You are also one of everyone. But you count only as one person. Okay? So if by doing this you would lose, but 10 people are going to benefit, we should do it. But if by doing this you and 9 people benefit and someone else loses, then we do it. Okay? So the idea of these people is utility, which is a technical term that people like John Stuart Mill and others used to benefit, is how much pleasure this brings. Since we may not, for the most part, we may not be able to do something that brings pleasure to everyone, so we cannot be 100% universalist, so we say greater number of people. If something brings more pleasure for a greater number of people or less pain for greater number of people, this is called utility. This is good. These are utilitarianism. We have long discussion about this. Inshallah, we will talk about it, as I said, separately. But basically, we are in agreement with them that to be useful is important. To be useful for larger number of people is important. Even we can say we agree that pleasure is very important. But what type of pleasure? Just quick, instant physical pleasure? Or it can be long-term human spiritual pleasure? Pleasure of dunya only, or pleasure of akhirah? Because in dunya can be short-term and long-term. For example, if you are in dunya looking for short-term, you watch TV and you don't study. Okay? But even if in dunya you want to have more pleasure, you study, and in future when you get good job, respect, you get more pleasure. But this is all dunya. Inside dunya, short term, long term, but the whole dunya is also short term. Then we have akhirah. Okay? when I say to you that you should study and do mubahisa, I consider long-term pleasure of dunya and akhirah, both of them. And if someone doesn't do mubahisa, what happens? We say khasara dunya qabla al-akhirah. In dunya you would lose, in akhirah also you would lose.
The exam and the result.
Yes. By the way, I remember the joke, So someone was not a talabi, he has not studied, Arabic and, didn't know these technical terms that talabi use. But he wanted to pretend that I know these things, I know the culture of ulama. So he went to visit an alim whose son was also a talabi. And he said, father, mashallah, is alim. Son is, mashallah, alim. Khasara dunya wal akhirah. He didn't know when to use this, He had heard something Arabic, thought maybe this is good here. So when you don't know something, don't take risk. These Arabic terms look similar, but sometimes can be quite different meaning. So, the second opinion is the opinion of the people who say we are considering as the ground or basis for moral value the benefit or pleasure of the person or a group or everyone. The third opinion is the opinion of the people who say moral value is the result or is the meaning of commands, outs and out nots. In their view, every moral value should go back to a command or prohibition, do or don't. This is wrong. Why? Because first of all, commands are part of moral values. Because we said moral value here is used in a general and a broad sense, which includes evaluative and obligational. Good, bad, right, wrong, ought not, obligation. These are two parts. So, good, bad, right, wrong, or in Arabic, khair, shar, sawab, these are not commands. If you limit moral value to commands, you are losing part of akhlaq. This is the problem of lack of jami'iyat. We say every definition should be jami' and mani'. Means it should include all the instances and exclude others. Okay? If you give a definition of human being, should include all human beings and exclude any non-human being. This definition, one problem is that it is not jami', jami'ul atraf. It doesn't embrace all cases of arzish akhlaqi, of moral value. It has a second problem. It's not also mani'atul aghyar. It doesn't exclude others. Why? Because there are lots of commands which are not arzishi, which are not related to akhlaq. For example, in sciences, we have lots of commands. If you want to produce certain acid, if you want to produce certain, I don't know, chemicals, they say you must mix this and this with this size, this dose. They say you must do this. Or sometimes, you know, in regulations in society, they say, you know, you must drive on the right side or left side. There is command, but there is no moral value here. So if you say moral values are commands, you have two problems only. One is that it's not including and inclusive. The other is that it's not exclusive. And it's enough to have these two big problems, you know. Okay. Number 4. To understand the problem with this one, you have to be very careful. Because there are lots of positive things here, but there is a slight difference from the right position. I explained this view, and I like to know who can find what is wrong with this view. Okay? So please listen carefully. Some people have said moral value is a matter of how much something is desirable by aql, intellect, reason. Aql or intellect or reason, according to this, is the main factor. Any voluntary action that is desirable to aql, it has moral value. For example, to be generous, to be kind, to be wise, to be modest, these have moral value. Why? Because aql says that these are desirable to me. I want them. In order to expand and clarify it more, we need to refer to something that in philosophy, in metaphysics, and also in philosophical akhlaq, they tell us. Because, you know, in akhlaq, there is a philosophical approach. They say human soul has 3 faculties. Remember, there are 3 faculties, 3 quwwah for nafs. One is al-quwwatu al-shahawiyya. Another one is al-quwwatu al-ghadabiyya. And the third is al-quwwatu al-aqila. Al-quwwatu al-aqila. Al-quwwatu al-shahawiyya is the faculty responsible for our appetites, for our desires which relate to appetites. Okay? Eating, drinking, and things like this. These are related to this quwwah. If this faculty, which is responsible for certain actions, if this faculty is not active, what happens? This person would have problem in survival. If you don't have any appetite for eating, what do? You would have problem. Or if, for example, someone doesn't have any appetite for drinking or other things, either he or she would die or human generation would stop. Okay? On the other hand, if someone is hyperactive, he knows all restaurants of London and every day say salam to them. 8 o'clock in one of them, 9 o'clock in the other, 10 o'clock in the other, and in between take away. So it's like, they say Muawiyah was never becoming, feeling full. It was always eating and eating. So if it is hyperactive, again there is a problem. The balanced position is the middle position, which is what we call al-iffa. Al-iffa, modesty. Modesty not only in sexual matters. Modesty here means modesty in all shahawat. Modest in eating, modest in drinking, modest in dressing, and modest in also with respect to sexual desires. Al-iffa. Okay? Al-quwwatul ghadhabiyya, responsible for anger. If this faculty is not active, what happens? Your students don't study and don't do mubahisah, you don't get angry. This is very bad, yeah? You have to get angry.
Only for some people.
We have to have sometimes anger. For example, regardless the joke, if your home is attacked, your country is occupied, your dignity, your life or life of innocent people, you have to get angry. You cannot say, I never get angry. You have to get angry sometimes. But if you get easily angry, again it's hyperactive, that's also a problem. If you are never ever angry, that's a problem. And if you easily get angry, that's also a problem. Most of the people are hyperactive. Yeah, most of people easily get angry. I don't find that much people who never get angry. It's very rare. Most of people have problem with the excess. What is important is not to lack anger. What is important is two things. Can you guess? Yes. Yes. So one is
patience.
Patience, yes. But two things are very important. First, not to get angry easily. Yes. If you get angry easily, then there is a problem. Second is that when you get angry and it's the right time to be angry, again, how do you deal with your anger?
Anger management.
Anger management. It's very important. Because many times we must not be angry, and I don't know why we get angry. Nothing has happened, no crime has happened. We get angry easily. But even if there is a reason, justified reason to get angry, again, it doesn't mean that you can do everything now because you are angry and you are, justifiably angry. Sometimes we have to suppress our anger, or sometimes we have to express it a little indirectly. Sometimes we need to take time. One of the things that I want for myself and you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to give us the ability to be offended and made angry, but for many years we don't say anything. Are we able to keep it like that? Or as soon as we are angry, the same moment we want to show it? Many times you have to forget. Even if it's not to be forgotten, keep it for the right time, right moment to say it. Normally, we immediately release our anger. So someone has made something and made us angry, we immediately react. We just make it worse. It's very important. Maybe my friend, my brother, my sister, my husband, my wife, my in-law, my neighbor said something wrong and made me angry. Am I able to control myself? Either forget it if it has to be forgotten, or if it shouldn't be forgotten, keep it for the right time. It's very rare quality. Quickly, we release the anger, unfortunately. So balance is very important. Not to be getting angry quickly, not to get angry at all. These are problems. The balance is called ash-shaja'a. Shaja'a is the balance. For example, who is a brave commander? Suppose you are a brave leader or brave commander or brave soldier. A brave commander or soldier is not the one who is all the time fighting, or is not the one who has sold his weapon. Both is problem. So, I don't need the weapon. Or all the time you are shooting. This is not bravery. Bravery means you are prepared, you are alert, but maybe for many years you don't fight. Was Amirul Mu'mineen brave only when he was fighting? Or was he brave even in those 25 years that he was silent? Maybe actually this is more demanding bravery. One of the most difficult thing for a commander or leader is when people question his bravery. But for the maslaha of the community, he has to be keeping calm. Like Imam Hassan alayhi salam. They questioned his bravery. They said, you have humiliated us, but Imam is not changing his decision based on praise or blame of these people. So, if you have balance here, it is called shaja'a. There are lots of things to say, but time is limited. Third, al-quwwatul aqila. This is the third faculty. What happens if al-quwwatul aqila is not active? It's in lower condition. In halatul tafrit. If al-quwwatul aqila is not active, this person easily accepts everything. God has given us aql for what? To distinguish, in the sense that certain things you accept, certain things you don't accept. If you accept everything that you hear or you are told, then you don't need aql. You are just a tape recorder. Everything people say, you copy and then you play it. Some of you may remember I mentioned this statement from Ibn Sina. This is one of my favorite, quotations. He says, "Man ta'awwada ala an yusaddiqa bighayr dalil faqad kharaja min al-kaswat al-insaniyah." Keep it next to that formula in philosophy. These are important. Man ta'awwada ala an yusaddiqa bighayr dalil faqad kharaja min al-kaswat al-insaniyah. Whoever is used to accept without asking for reason, he is no longer a human being. Once you can make mistake, twice you can make mistake, but if you are used to ta'awwada, man ta'awwada ala an yusaddiqa bighayr dalil, whoever is used to confirm, affirm, tasdeeq, without reason, means without asking for reason, faqad kharaja min al-kiswat al-insani, he has gone out of the dress of humanity, means he's no longer a human being. It's very beautiful. On the other hand, if your quwwatul aghla is very active, too much active, what happens?
Question everything.
You cannot believe in anything. You can never make up your mind. This is also a problem. If you become too critical, you are always in doubt. That's a problem. If you also accept everything easily, that's also a problem. The balance is called hikmah, wisdom. Then, if you have, this is very important, if you have managed to make your anger and appetites under the control of your aql, which means if you have modesty and bravery and wisdom, because aql can regulate those two, yes? If aql regulates those two, it means you have balanced position in all the three. You have bravery, you have chastity or modesty, you have wisdom, then it means that your soul is now balanced from every aspect. And this is leading to a fourth virtue, and that is adl, al-adala. Justice in the sense of balance and moderation in every aspect. So we have four major principles: justice, wisdom, modesty, and bravery. From each of them, many different virtues come, and also when they are mixed. So if you study Mi'raj al-Sa'ada, Jam' al-Sa'ada, you would see they talk about virtues of these faculties and vices of these faculties, or virtues of these faculties when they are combined, and so on and so forth. Now, what these people say, the fourth opinion, so far we don't have problem. In general, we agree with what has been said. But what they say, which is problematic, is they say, if aql listens to ghadab or shahwa to quench the thirst or finish the hunger of ghazab and shahwa, that's a problem. But if ghazab and shahwa try to serve aql and quench the thirst of aql, to satisfy aql, to meet the desire of aql, then we have moral value. So if I eat and drink, or defend myself, or protect myself against enemy in the way that aql regulates, according to the balance that aql strikes, this is good, this is moral. But if I use my aql to serve my anger or shahwa, that is not moral. So according to them, moral value is made by satisfying the desire of aql, meeting the need of aql. We are appreciating some positive points in this view. As I said, many of the things we accept. Especially, I have to say that we appreciate the emphasis that they put on aql, and on aql being the regulator, not shahwa or ghadab. Something which is moral should have approval and sanction of aql, we appreciate. Also, we appreciate the distinction they make between satisfying your instincts, animal instincts, or listening to aql. We appreciate all that. But there is a problem here. I don't know, have you noticed the problem or not? Yes.
I think the anger is so instinctive in everybody.
Yes.
Because when I remember some ayat,
You have to regulate it.
so about Nabi Musa, غضب وأخذ بلحية أخيه وكسر الألواح الذي he brought it from God, so he broke it, and more than one time they mentioned he was angry.
So, yeah, no, we are not against anger, but we say anger should not be left free. Anger should not become the commander. Aql should control anger. Imagine if we have a country, because some ulama al-akhlaq compare humanity to like a country. In the country, we need army, soldiers. But who should tell the soldiers what to do? The wise leader. Not that the soldiers tell the wise leader, we are tired, you have to tell us to start a war. You understand the difference? So, in us also, al-quwwatul ghadabiyya should not tell the intellect that I want to, now exercise. It should be opposite. If al-quwwatul ghadabiyya is commander, then uses aql to enjoy and satisfy the anger. This is what we see, unfortunately, many times happening in wars. People use aql, science, everything to satisfy their anger. We say no. We need anger, but anger has to come in the right time, has to be regulated, and should not be the regulator. Okay? So, what is problem?
Aql should be on i'tidal. It should not
Who?
be the aql also.
Yes. That's okay. We agree.
So
They also said,
they are not specified.
no, they said, hikmah. Al-Ghawat al-Aql also should be balanced. There is a very delicate issue here. They say what we do should be desirable to Aql, should meet the desire and needs of Aql, not the desire of Qadhab or Shahwa. Here we have a problem. We say Aql has no desire. Of course, maybe some Muslim scholars have different opinion, but this is a very good opinion, and Ayatollah Misbah has this opinion, and I think if it is understood properly, it would be appreciated. We say Aql is not like Ghazab and Shahwa. They are driven by instincts, and they want something, they demand something, they want to be pleased, they want to get satisfaction. Aql is like a light, just show you the path. Aql says, if you go this way, you reach your destination. If you go that way, you will be destroyed. But you decide what you want to do. If you ask Aql, what should I decide? Again, Aql ask you few questions and give you the answer. But Aql is very much neutral. Not in the bad sense. Please don't misunderstand this point. Okay? If you have any question, either today or next session, ask me. We are not saying Aql is, not making distinction between virtues or vices. No, we want to say Aql does not have any desire of its own. Aql is a kind of means or instrument that Allah has given us to understand. You decide what you want, and then Aql tells you what's the way. Even Aql can tell you this way leads to this conclusion, that way leads to that conclusion. Okay? So, we are not quenching the thirst of Aql. Aql has no thirst. Aql is a guide, is a judge, is a light, is a torch, whatever you call it. Very neutral. In Kafir and Aql works in the same way, and just helps you to understand. If you ask him good questions, you get good answers. If you ask bad questions, then you don't get good answers for those bad questions. In the sense that, for example, if I ask my Aql, please get me right. If I ask my Aql, what's the best thing I can do as a human being to grow, to flourish? Aql would tell me. But instead of asking this good question, I say, Aql, what can I do to have more money? What can I do to have more power? How can I, have more delicious food? Aql gives you the answer. It's not that Aql says, no, I don't give answer to these questions. You have to use Aql itself to even decide which questions to ask, and then follow the answers given by Aql. So we say almost everything like this view, but the only difference is that we say moral value is not what is desired by Aql. We say it's what is advised by Aql. Do you understand the difference?
This Aql is the same.
You know, like for example, when you go to a doctor and doctor says, please take this medicine, please don't take that medicine. Are you trying this prescription to make doctor emotionally happy, or you are listening to doctor as a neutral advisor? Of course, the doctor may become happy, but that's not the reason. He didn't give you this prescription to become happy, and you don't take the prescription to make him happy. Happiness is a side product. The main thing that the doctor is telling you what is good for your health, and you do it in order to get you to your health. Okay? So this is the role of Aql. Aql is a judge. You know, we say even in kuffar, Aql is hujjah. Do you accept or not? Even in kuffar, Aql is hujjah. لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير. Those who end up with being in hell, they say, if we had listened, means listened to prophets and revealed guidance, or if we had used our aql, na'qil, if we had reasoned, ma kunna fi ashab al-sayr, we would not have been here. Okay, when kuffar say, this type of kuffar, I have to clarify again, kafir is not every atheist. Kafir means those who don't appreciate and welcome and accept the truth, they reject the truth deliberately. When they say, if we had listened, does it mean listened with my ear or their own ear? Their own ear. Na'qil, listened to my aql or their aql? Their own aql. They don't say, if we had followed the aql of mu'mineen. Na'qil. So it means that if they had used their own aql, they would have come to the same understanding as mu'mineen. So aql is hujjah everywhere. You know, it's like, for example, I give you an example. Suppose aql is a very just, fair, virtuous judge. Very just, very fair, very virtuous judge. No matter who employs this judge, he says, I never betray. If you don't want to listen to me, don't employ me. Whether I am employed by good people or bad people, I only say what is just. This is aql. Aql says, no matter whose aql I am, a good person, bad person, I only say the truth. Okay? So, the role of aql is to help us make distinction, to understand. You tell him what you want, aql tells you what's the way to achieve it. You can ask Aql, what should I want? Again, Aql tells you the answer. So you can start from the beginning, or some people, unfortunately, half the way they already make the decision, and then just at the end they say, no, I want to rob this house. How should I do? Okay, Aql says, you have to put a ladder and do, but half the way or most of the way you didn't listen to Aql. You understand? So if someone from the very first moral decision follows Aql, would not come to bad conclusion. I think we can have a little break, and then inshallah we have a very important discussion. Inshallah we will have after that. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.